Well, hello again, friends. Welcome back to Elderly Paradox. I'm so glad you've joined us for episode 2 of our Diamond series, where we uncover the hidden brilliance in your life's journey. Today, we're embracing a beautiful truth we call the Elderly Paradox, how looking back can actually help you live more fully right now. We're continuing our conversation about why your stories matter, how to capture them, share them, and leave your mark on the hearts that will treasure them long after we're gone. Because your life, it's not just your story, it's a piece of history, a legacy, and we'll show you exactly how to preserve it, simply and meaningfully. Let's start with the easiest way to begin. You know, after our last chat about saving those golden memories I heard from so many of you, Betty from Iowa sent me a voice memo of her teaching her great-granddaughter to knit. Just like my mama taught me in '47. Han Tom in Arizona emailed a photo of his journal entry about the night he proposed to Helen at a drive-in movie. That's why we're doing this, because when you share even a sliver of your story, it becomes a bridge. Now, last time we talked about capturing those moments. Today, let's explore how sharing them creates something magical, both for others and for you. That's where our elderly paradox comes in. Remember Martha, my neighbor who recorded the story about her husband's mismatched boots at the Grand Canyon? Well, she did something brave. She brought that recording to our senior center's memory circle. 12 of us sat in worn armchairs, tissues in hand. When Martha played it, something shifted. See, Martha thought she was just preserving a memory, but as she told it, the crunch of gravel under their feet, the way Ed's laugh bounced off canyon walls, her shoulders relaxed. A smile crept in. You know, she said afterward, for the first time since he passed, it didn't feel like digging up a grave. It felt like inviting him back for coffee. That's the elderly paradox, friends. When we share our past with open hands, it heals our present. That recipe video you make for your granddaughter, sure, she'll treasure it someday, but filming it, smelling the cinnamon, feeling the dough under your fingers, that's your soul smiling today, writing 3 lines about your first heartbreak. It's not reopening a wound. It's whispering, "Look how far you've come, darling." Science even backs this up. Studies show storytelling lowers blood pressure, eases loneliness, like a warm compress for your spirit. Why? Because buried stories weigh us down. Shared stories set us free. Now, where to share? Let's make it simple. Family first. My grandson Jake helped me set up a private family blog. Just grandkids, cousins, aunts. We called it our patchwork quilt. Every Sunday, someone posts Uncle Joe's fishing fail from 1968, Cousin Lena's prom disaster, no fancy writing, just real life. And here's the magic. When my great-niece posted how Nana's meatloaf saved my terrible Tuesday, I cried. That slab of ground beef became a love letter, community treasure. Your local historical society is starved for your ordinary. I dropped off my dad's grocery list from 1955 at ours, with a note, beef, 29C LB, milk, glass bottles. The pass. Chatter free. The director hugged me. This, she said, is how we understand how people really lived. Writing groups, no experience needed. Our Churches Before I Forget circle isn't Shakespeare Club. Every Tuesday, Doris, 86, writes 3 sentences. The jingle of the milkman's horse, my brother hiding peas in his napkin, Mama's tired smile. We don't critique. We nod. We remember. We feel. And here's where the elderly paradox blooms brightest. When you share your yesterdays, you anchor your todays. Describing the scent of your mother's rose garden. Suddenly you're smelling roses in your garden. Telling your grandson about biking 5 miles to school uphill. Your spine straightens. I was tough then, I'm tough now. Laughing over coffee about that disastrous family camping trip. The joy isn't memory. It's now. So try this today. Pick one tiny memory. The feel of your childhood blanket, the taste of your first Coke float. Share it wildly simply. Text it to your niece. Whisper it into your voice app. Tell the cashier at the grocery, ma tree. Notice, did your breath deepen? Did your heart lift? That's the paradox working. Music swells gently, hopeful and bright. Your stories aren't museum pieces. They're living things. And when you set them free, they turn around and hug you back. Next time, We'll explore how these shared stories become eternal echoes rippling through generations in ways you'd never dream. Until then, keep shining, diamonds. Thank you for walking this path with me. I'm right here in the stillness with you. Keep telling your truth. The world needs your light. You know, it's funny. Sometimes the simplest moments hold the deepest magic. Like my friend Bert last week. He'd recorded himself telling about the time he sneaked into a jazz club as a teenager and his granddaughter helped him upload it to their family's private YouTube channel. "Gramps," she said, "you're a rock star." Chuckles softly. Bert's voice, that crackle of joy when he described the saxophone solo, it's now a little piece of forever. That's what we're talking about today, sharing your stories so they breathe. Because a story told is a gift, opened. And you don't need to be a tech wizard. Let's walk through this together, step by gentle step first, your family. Maybe you've got a box of letters in the attic, or shoeboxes full of photos, beautiful. But what if, leans in conspiratorially, we made sure those treasures don't get lost? Imagine a digital family storybook. Sites like Family Search or Shutterfly let you build private pages, just for your crew. Upload that recording of you explaining Grandpa's pocket watch. Scan those yellowed letters from basic training. Add captions. "This was Aunt Rose's diner, best pie in Toledo, 1963. Grandkids can add their stories too. It becomes a living scrapbook. No fancy skills needed. Just type, click, share. Now, what if your story could touch your whole town? Community history projects are hungry for voices like yours. My local library has a living history shelf. Not just dry dates, but Mrs. Gable describing the day the mill closed, or Mr. Chen sharing how he planted the first Chinese restaurant in our county. Librarians adore helping with this. They'll guide you through scanning photos or even sit with you for an interview. Your ordinary Tuesday in 1974. It's a window into how people lived. That's pure gold for historians. And here's a secret weapon: your grandchildren. Kids today swim in technology. Ask your 10-year-old grandson to interview you on his iPad. Give him questions like, "What's the bravest thing you ever did? How did you and Grandma meet? What's one thing you wish you knew at my age?" Suddenly, it's not a chore, it's a game. He feels important, you feel heard. And that video, it'll be his most prized possession at 30. Maybe you're thinking, "But I'm no writer." Oh, honey, neither was Ethel down the street. Then she joined a senior writing group at the community center. Every Tuesday, 6 folks sip coffee and scribble for 20 minutes. No grading, no pressure. Just prompts like, "Describe the smell of your childhood kitchen," or "Write about a time you got lost." Last month, they printed a little chapbook. Ethel's story about nursing sick kittens during the '58 blizzard had us all in tears. Groups like this aren't about publishing, they're about saying, "I was here." Now let's tackle that nagging whisper. Who'd care about my little life? Let me tell you about my cousin's boy, Sam. He's writing a school report on the Vietnam War. His textbook has 2 paragraphs. But then he found letters his great-uncle wrote from Da Nang, describing the taste of rain, the sound of helicopters, how he traded cigarettes for a stray puppy. Sam read those words and whispered, "He was real." Your grocery lists? Maybe not. But your stories, they turn history from ink into heartbeat, and grandchildren, goodness, they crave your roots. My friend Lena filmed herself making her mother's holubtsi. That's cabbage rolls for you non-Ukrainians. She showed the stained recipe card, her knuckles kneading the rice, singing the lullaby her mama hummed. Sent it to her grandkids via WhatsApp. Little Sophia wrote back, "Baba, I made them with Mom. We sang your song." That's more than food. That's a torch passed. So where do you start? Pick one thing. Email a memory to your niece today. Your mom once hid frogs in her teacher's desk. Text a voice memo to your son. Heard this song on the radio. Reminded me of our fishing trip. Drop off a handwritten page at the Historical Society. How the old Thompson farm smelled in spring. No grand gestures needed. Just plant seeds. Because here's the miracle. When you share your story, you're never alone. You join a chorus of grandparents who survived dust bowls, parents who built suburbs, kids who marched for change. Your voice matters, not because you're famous, but because you're human. And humanity's story is written one kitchen table, one porch swing, one whispered lullaby at a time. So go on. Hit record. Pick up the pen. Your story is waiting. To breathe. And when you're ready, we'll talk about how these stories become your forever mark on the world. You know, it's easy to think our footprints fade. Seasons change, cities rebuild, new faces fill old chairs. But I've got a story for you. Last spring, my nephew Benji, he's in college now, called me, breathless. He'd found a box in his mom's attic. Inside, my grandfather's journals, just cheap notebooks filled with his looping cursive. Page after page about planting corn during the Depression, watching steam trains chug past his farm, the ache in his hands after a frost. Benji read me a line. Sold the old mare today. Sarah cried, told her life's full of hard goodbyes and sweet hellos. That man's ordinary Tuesday in 1934. It's now a compass for a boy he never met. That's what we're doing here. We're planting seeds in a garden we'll never see. And it's simpler than you think. Let's talk about making. Your mark last. No, you don't need bronze statues. Just a little care so your stories outlive the weather and the years. First, saving your treasures. Those voice memos on your phone, that video of you telling about your first date, let's give them a safe home. Think of it like putting photos in acid-free albums, but digital. The cloud isn't scary, I promise. It's just a fancy word for storing things safely online. Ask a grandkid to help set up a Google Drive or Dropbox folder named Grandma's Stories or Pop's Memories. Drag your recordings and videos there. Now, even if your phone takes a swim, your stories are safe, like a digital hope. Chest, back it up, Buttercup. Copy special things onto a thumb drive, those little sticks that fit on your keychain. Label it clearly. Mom's Recipes and Stories, 2025. Give one to your daughter. Pop one in your safe deposit box. Easy peace of mind, old school magic. Still works, don't underestimate a sturdy binder. Print out those transcribed stories or journal entries. Slip in photos, write captions in the margin. This was the hat I wore the day I asked your grandpa. Toe dance. Tangible, real, loved. Now what about the really big stories? The lessons learned, the love you want to whisper across generations. That's where an ethical will comes in. Sounds formal, it's not. It's simply a love letter to the future. Not about money or property, it's about your heart. Write or record what matters most. This is what I learned about forgiveness. This is the song that always made me smile. This is how I found courage when I was scared. This is what I hope for you, my darling ones. My friend Lou did this. He recorded 10 minutes for each of his grandsons. For little Jamie, born with a shy heart, he said, "It's okay to be quiet, son. The strongest trees often grow the deepest." Roots, that boy listens to it before his first day of school every year. That's a legacy no one can tax. And let's tackle that stubborn whisper one last time. Will anyone really care? Really? Oh, my friend, let me tell you about the Mason County Historical Society. They put out a call last fall. Tell us about everyday life here in the 1950s. They got stacks of letters. But one from Mabel, 82, she wrote 3 pages about the smell of Main Street back then. The yeast from the bakery at dawn, the sharp tang of the hardware store's nails, the sweet fog from the soda fountain's cherry syrup. Researchers wept. They said, "This is the gold standard. This is how people lived. Your sensory details, the crunch of gravel under your bike tires, the starch of your Sunday dress, the static crackle of the old radio, that's the soul of history. Textbooks have dates, you have the heartbeat. Think of the ripple effect. That story you tell your granddaughter about overcoming a fear, it might give her courage at 25. The recipe video you make, it might comfort your great-grandson at 40, missing home. The letter you write about finding faith in hard times, it might guide a descendant you'll never meet. You lived through times of incredible change, social shifts, technological revolutions, quiet, personal triumphs. Your perspective is unique, valuable, and irreplaceable. Did you work a factory line now run by robots? Your hands-on experience is history. Did you march for civil rights, women's rights, peace? Your witness is vital. Did you raise a family on a tight budget garden for victory? Find joy in simple things. That wisdom is pure gold. Your story is America's story, not the polished politician version, the real one. The one told over kitchen tables in church basements on front porches. The story of resilience, community, and quiet love. So how do you begin this part? Gently. Pick one precious thing. Your mother's handwritten cookie recipe. The photo of your army unit. The story of how you met your best friend 60 years ago. Preserve it simply, or snap a clear photo with your phone. Or record yourself talking about it for 2 minutes. Or write a paragraph on nice paper. Why this matters. 3. Share it safely. Put the digital copy in that cloud folder. Give the physical copy to someone you love. Maybe slip a copy to your local library or historical group. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for presence. Crooked videos, smudged ink, voices cracking with emotion. That's not messiness, that's life, that's you. You are not just remembering the past. You are gifting the future, planting trees whose shade you'll never sit under, writing love letters to children yet unborn, whispering, I was here, I lived, I loved, and because of that, you are too. That's a mark that never, ever fades. And in our final part, we'll talk about the beautiful, unexpected ways these stories come full circle, how they heal, connect, and make the world feel a little smaller, a little kinder. Until then, keep telling your truth. The world needs to hear it. You know, when we started this journey, I told you about Martha. Sweet Martha, who recorded that story about her husband's mismatched boots at the Grand Canyon. Well, something happened last month. Her grandson, Leo, who's 8, had to do a school project about resilience. While other kids quoted famous speeches, Leo played his grandma's voice. We got lost on that canyon trail for hours, and your grandpa just laughed and said, Marty, darling, we've survived harder things than a wrong turn. That little boy stood taller that day because he carried his grandpa's courage in his bones. That's the quiet magic we're talking about. Not monuments, not fame, but the way our stories become oxygen for the ones we love long after we're gone. Today, let's talk about the most beautiful surprise, how telling your story changes you. Martha thought she was saving a memory. She didn't realize that every time she told it, the sharp edges of her grief softened. Remembering his laugh, it became a balm. She told me, it's like he's sitting beside me again, squeezing my hand. That's the first ripple. Healing. When we give voice to our joy, our sorrow, our ordinary miracles, we don't just preserve them, we reclaim them. That hurt you tucked away for 50 years? Writing 3 sentences about it might lift a weight you forgot you carried. That triumph, no one saw? Saying it aloud, it reminds you, I was stronger than I knew. That love that still takes your breath away, sharing it. It reignites the embers. This isn't just sentiment, science backs it. Studies show storytelling lowers stress, eases loneliness, even boosts our immune response. Why? Because buried stories are ghosts. Shared stories are light, and here's where it gets wondrous. Your story connects you to a vast, invisible family. Last fall, I dropped off my father's letters at our town's historical society. A week later, I got an email from a man in Oregon. Your dad trained with my uncle at Camp Roberts in '43. Uncle Joe spoke of the kid from Ohio who could fix any Jeep. Thank you. I finally see him young. 2 strangers, bound by a boy in grease-stained fatigues 80 years ago. That's the power of adding your voice to the chorus. Senior centers, libraries, online groups, they're full of people hungry to swap stories, not small talk, real talk. The Before I Forget writing circle at my church. Every Thursday, we write for 15 minutes. Prompt, something I wish I'd said. We don't read aloud unless we want to. But oh, the nods, the tears, the me too, honey, me too. StoryCorps booths popping up everywhere. You and a loved one or a kind volunteer record a 40-minute conversation, archived at the Library of Congress. Your great-great-grandchildren could hear your voice someday. Simple porch gatherings. Invite neighbors over. Ask, what's the kindest thing a stranger ever did for you? Pass the lemonade. Pass the tissues. This isn't about performance. It's about witness. Being seen. Seeing others. And can I tell you a secret? The more you share your past, the more present you become. It's the elderly paradox. Remembering dancing at the USO canteen makes your feet tap today. Describing your mother's rose garden makes you smell the blooms now. Releasing that old regret? It frees space for this moments. Joy, your stories aren't anchors to the past. They're wings. So let's circle back to where we began, with you. Just you. Maybe sitting with a cup of tea, wondering, does any of this matter? Look at your hands, those lines. They're a map of how far you've traveled, the love you've held, the work you've done, the quiet courage of showing up, day after day in a world that never stood still. That story? The one only you can tell. It's a lifeline, it's a beacon, it's a love letter to the human spirit. You are not done leaving your mark. So here's my invitation. Hit record. Pick up the pen. Press send, plant your flag in time. Whisper, I was here, I felt it all, and it mattered. Then watch, amazed, as your story becomes a grandmother's secret ingredient in her granddaughter's kitchen, a veteran's courage in a trembling student's heart, a stranger's me too in a sunlit room full of nodding heads. That's your echo, that's your forever. I'm right here with you in the quiet, and I'm so grateful you joined me. Keep telling your truth, my friend. The world needs it more than you know.